This module of the Basic Guide to Tree Felling covers the situation where felling is expected to take significantly more than felling wedges alone, and it is expected that the tree will have to be pulled down. This video covers the advantages of using chain rather than rope to do that pulling. In the video on pulling with the rope, we showed how a 100-foot length of 3/8 inch nylon rope, if stretched to failure, could come flying back at us at around 800 miles an hour. The situation is different with chain due to the way it deforms and due to its greater weight.
Let's look at a set of conditions similar to our rope case, but with 1/4 inch general purpose grade 30 chain. The same 100-foot length will weigh 63 pounds for a mass of 1.96 slugs compared to the rope's weight of just 3.6 pounds. To ensure that some stretching occurs as a warning of imminent failure, industry standards require that similar chains stretch at least 15% before snapping. Much of that stretch is plastic deformation, meaning the chain will not return to its original length when the load is removed. Approximately half of the deformation will be permanent. A 100-foot chain will stretch to 115 feet before breaking. After the two pieces are brought back together with no stress, the chain's length will be permanently stretched to 107.5 feet. This means that, when the chain breaks, the tension in it will drop to zero after the end, presumably at the tree, has shot back over a distance of only 7.5 feet, compared to the 50 feet of acceleration for nylon. Our chain has a minimum breaking strength of 5,200 pounds, so we'll have to use a very strong winch, or two in parallel, to get it to break. Note that the 1/4 inch chain's ultimate strength is 60% greater than that of our 3/8 inch nylon rope. If we run through the same calculations, the snapped chain will be flying back at us at a peak speed of only 141 feet per second, which is just 96 miles per hour, barely 1/8 the speed of sound.
I've snapped 1/4 inch chain on 4 occasions, 5/16 inch chain only once, and it was the only one that put me on my back.
The next subject that needs to be covered is the relationship between the amount of force you want to be able to generate and the cost of the materials and equipment needed to do that. In the module on pulling the tree down with rope, we saw that it was possible to get high-strength ropes if we wanted to spend around $250 to $300. The working strengths for the rope are a bit over half a ton. We know we can't pull any place close to 1,300 pounds by hand, so we decide to buy a cable winch that can pull up to 1 ton. We can probably leave the store with one that costs around $30 and claims to meet our needs. However, I have definitely found that, with winches, you get what you pay for. If you pay a low price, you will get low performance and durability. A decent cable winch will cost you around $150. I personally have 2 Little Mule cable hoists from Americrane and Hoist Corporation. They currently sell for $259. I really value the cast body and parts and recommend these hoists for reliability. With the line doubled, they can easily deliver 4,000-pound pulls.
I like the Little Mule because it has this nice solid body all the way around, and that's very durable. Like most cable winches, it has 2 pawls and a ratchet system. So when you pull the handle, if the pawl is engaged, it turns and this other pawl captures it. Then you can slide it back and it clicks past each of those so that it can repeat. So that part's pretty simple. The little mule comes with a handle that is load rated. In other words, they don't want you pulling too hard on it and breaking something in the system. So the handle is designed to be the part that gives, because it's pretty easy to replace the handle. Just comes out and you can replace that fairly easily. But as you can see, I have managed to bend this one, and that was really when I threw all my body weight against it.
If, instead of rope, we go with 5/16" chain with a working load of 1,900 pounds and a minimum breaking strength of 7,600 pounds, our price for 150 feet goes up to around $480. Note that, for rope, the working load limit is usually taken as 1/10 of the ultimate, while for chain, the working load limit is usually taken as 1/4 of the ultimate. If we want to be adequately geared to pull back leaners, we will need at least 2 strong winches, 4 lengths of 5/16" chain, each a minimum of 30 feet long, plus 3 50-foot lengths, 400 feet of strong rope at around $2.50 a foot, 2 porter wraps and 3 slings to fasten them around trees, and at least 2 large pulleys. All told, that would be over $3,000 worth of gear.
Chains come with 2 basic kinds of hooks. Both of these are what are called clevis hooks, because they have holes here that a pin can go through to connect it to the chain. But this one is what's called a grab hook, because it can grab around the chain. And this one is what's called a slip hook, because it will slip back to the point where you're trying to girth around a tree. So 2 different kinds of hooks. If I expect I'm going to need a strong pull, I resort to chain and a cable winch. I recommend not going to a cable winch and rope. In the double line pulling mode, the length of cable will limit the distance of pull. With this little mule winch, which has seen 25 years of service, the total throw is about 10.5 feet. Depending on our setup, rope may stretch that far without developing a lot of tension. It would be preferable to use chain either as or in our main line. Not only will chain stretch less, but we can use a grab hook and easily connect to any place on our chain to capture the pulling we've already done, so that we can reset our winch to do an additional pull. It is not reasonable to throw chain up into a tree. If we have to pull the tree down with chain, one choice is to climb the tree and fasten the chain where we can get to.
Another choice is to get a very strong rope positioned in the tree, connect the chain to it, and then pull the chain up close to the supporting crotch before tying the other end of the rope around the base of the tree. When using chain to fasten to an anchor tree, consideration should be given to the risk of injuring that tree. I have rarely seen significant damage, but there have been several occasions where the link pressed hard into the bark, leaving deformations that lasted a long time. I could not tell whether the concentrated pressure points injured the cambium under the bark or not. On one occasion, I made the mistake of anchoring to a tree that was close to the tree I was trying to pull down. As a result, the chain was exerting a strong vertical component of force on the anchor tree. When I tensioned up the chain, the saturated early summer phloem could not take the shear, and a placemat-sized slab of bark slid up the trunk, leaving a serious injury to the tree.
If you're really concerned about the well-being of the tree you're using as your anchor point, it's probably a good idea to try to protect it by using padding such as old blankets, towels, or this painter's cloth, and a few scraps of 2x4 to distribute the load from the chain so that it doesn't crush the bark.
Finally, if your anchor is within the fall zone, be prepared to run like a bunny when the tree starts to go.
The techniques for getting a rope up into a tree are well covered in several arborist sites and recreational tree climbing sites. For the sake of completeness, those will be recovered in the next video in this series, Getting the Rope Up into the Tree.